let's say the president's watching the show and he says, oh, I like that Captain Stephanie Grant. Let me see what I can do. You know what? Let me find $3 million and let me hand it to Sisters of the Skies. What would you do with that $3 million? What are the first three things, the top three things, other than your components with scholarship, fundraising, and mentorship? What would you do?
There's been talk. Not too long ago, the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals opened up a flight school and in Memphis, the Luke Weathers Flight Academy, which is doing fantastic. The board has talked a little bit about even being able to do something like that, just dedicated towards Black female pilots, just a flight school for them to attend and have a safe space to earn their certificates. So that would definitely be probably one of the biggest topics. So I don't know other than that how to answer it, because there's so much money still needed for our mission. And I haven't even talked about our outreach, which is for the girls between 10 and 18. That's our one-day STEM day that they get to come out. Our next one is May 1st in Houston, and then we'll have one in the fall in Miami of 2021. That day they get to look at and explore a static display. It may be a C-17 or C-30 or a regional aircraft, whichever one we can get to fly in. They also get to do a discovery flight. Some of these girls have never even been in an airplane. So the first time they're able to go on an airplane, they're in there with a Black female certified flight instructor, taking them up around a traffic pattern and sharing with them some levels of aerodynamics that they probably haven't been exposed to. They also get to do a flight plan and fly that flight plan in a simulator. So they spend the whole day with us. We kick the parents out, let them know that they are in safe hands with the ladies of Sisters of the Skies, the pilots. And we just have a great day. And it's on a Saturday. And sometimes kids between 10 and 18 have better things to do on a Saturday than come spend it with us. But by the end of the day, they hate to leave. They're in tears and they're wanting to participate even more. So we're very proud of that program as well. We're hoping to be able to open up more, and it's called Girls Rock Wings. We call it GROW for short, GRO. And we're hoping to do it in more cities. So of course that funding would allow us to go into even more cities, because just a one day, we have to rent the plane, we have to buy fuel, we have to get t-shirts. It's very expensive. So you're talking about maybe $25,000 just for a one day event.
What are you telling young girls? Because when you tell people that you're a pilot, you're a captain, what is the first thing that or expression or that comes out of people's mouths, especially men, when hello, how are you? This is what I am. And when they ask you, what do you do for a living? How does that come off? Can you explain? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's my answer. Most people wouldn't think that that's what my answer is going to be. So yes, there's a little bit of a really, okay, and then they start asking me questions just like you have. How did they get involved? What is it like? How much does it cost? So yeah, it's almost like if you were to ask somebody, well, what do you do? And he says, or she says, well, I'm an astronaut. You're not going to run into many of them ever, right? So it kind of takes you aback a little bit. And I do get that type of response. But it's also a way of, especially if there's someone that looks like me, a young girl, or her family or anybody like that wants me to talk to them, it gives me a great platform to share my story, to share that becoming a professional pilot is something that they should consider doing, because a lot of them have never considered it because they've never seen anyone that looks like them doing it. So I'm very blessed and humbled that I get that opportunity to share the story, not just my story, but other ladies of Sisters of the Skies and ones that have come before me, ones I stand beside, and ones that are coming after us. There's so many stories out there that now I can share to relate to them, that there is someone like them that's doing this job.
When you mentioned earlier about struggles, can you share a bit about what you're talking about? Because we all know it's hard. I mean, I cannot even begin to phantom what you've gone through, but can you share a little bit of the stories if you can?
Sure. um, there's a financial struggle. It took me about 3.5 years to finish flight school. I was older. I was an adult. I just finished my military career. So I still had to work from 9 to 5. And so I could only go to flight school at night and on the weekends. So I had to pay as I went. So just that financial burden to try to figure out how to pay for it is one struggle. The second struggle is the education part of it. I didn't, and this is just my personal story. Okay. I didn't grow up with a father telling me how, what a carburetor was in a car, how an engine worked, any of that stuff. So having to learn the mechanical side and the aerodynamic side of aviation was a struggle for me. Learning about weather, and so the educational part is a journey all within itself. And then the part where you go into training, or some of what we call check rides. A check ride is something that you will do constantly in your aviation career. It is to check your measure of where you're supposed to be at that particular point. So your first license is a private pilot's license. So you'll take a check ride, an oral examination, and you'll go up and do maneuvers and stuff in the airplane to show that you've met the requirements of a private pilot's certificate. And then you go to the next certificate and the next certificate. And then when you get to the airline, you go through training, you take more check rides. Sometimes you take them once a year, sometimes twice a year, sometimes every 9 months. And that environment is, to me, and a lot of the other women that I've had this conversation with, is extremely subjective, especially if the person giving you that particular test or check ride has never experienced someone like you. So we have to prepare more. We have to be that much smarter, that much on our toes. Like, there's really not a lot of room for error, because sometimes we're in those events not proving what we do know, but they're trying to prove what we don't know. So that is really something that we share with all of the ladies coming through, that is something you're going to have to understand and recognize it if it's ever happened.
What do you do to unwind, and what do you do for self-care?
I'll answer the self-care one first. So this career field can be very damaging on your waistline. So even during this pandemic, since I've been off from flying, I've lost, where people have gained weight, I've made the decision to do the opposite. So I lost about 20 pounds since I've been home. So even on the road, you have to make sure that you're eating right, taking some time out to, stretch, even if you can't get to the gym. Just having even some mental time to yourself, because mental health can, be even worse than, having a physical issue. So I make sure that I just spend some alone time. I know I have some girlfriends that have their war room. I don't particularly have a war room where I can just go and sit by myself, but I do ask my family to give me a few minutes if they know that the door is shut, just to center myself. Because I'm telling you, as a woman and a manager of a household, and when you get to a certain age, like I am, when things are a little out of whack, you need to center yourself and focus on healthcare, and just making sure that you're okay, because if you're not okay, everything else is in total disarray.
Being a woman, how did you balance motherhood with being a pilot? How did you do this?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. Let me tell you. I take it one day at a time. I'm very thankful for my husband. He's retired from the military. He did 20 years. So it's really a role reversal in our home. Whereas normally, the man has the job where he leaves and go to work and come back 3, 4, 5 days later. And the wife stays at home. Well, that's not the situation in my home. I'm the one that leaves, and my husband pretty much takes care of our children when I'm not here. So I'm very blessed in that regard. We have a 9-year-old son, Mason, and a 5-year-old daughter, Morgan. I also am an entrepreneur. I love crafts. I have a blog. Like, I still try to do stuff what I call outside the cockpit, because I tell a lot of people being a pilot is what I do. It's not who I am. And even in this pandemic, when those things are taken away from you, some people can't adjust because they have an identity. Their identity is tied to what they do. And although I'm extremely proud of myself and happy for the platform I have and the historical moment that I have, that I've been a part of, I also recognize that one day I'm not going to be doing this anymore. We do have a mandatory retirement. Maybe if I win the lottery, I'll stop sooner. But so the balance of it all is I do take it one day at a time, because if I do more than that, it becomes way too stressful. Right. So one trip at a time. We figure it out one trip at a time.
Why do you think women should support each other?
Ooh. Oh, my. That is such a loaded question. I think because as a woman, there's so many levels to us that men, they haven't even scratched the surface. I know you've been married 31 years. I've been married almost 10. And there's still some days I'm like, you have no clue. But but as a woman, especially with our authentic relationships, and I know at once you also get to a certain age, you have friends that you've known for years. But there's been some women I've met in my adult life that I'm extremely close to. And just to be able to support them in any way, not just their businesses, but just be in a safe space and a safe call. So I think it's really important for us as women to make sure that when you say that you are supportive, that you say it and you do it. You can say a lot, but everything is based on your actions. So as women, support each other, even if you don't. And if you don't want to support them, then just don't say anything at all. Just don't be negative. Like, just let them have their space.
So, Captain Grant, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being a great mom, a great wife, a great sister friend, a great sister chick. You kicking some booty, and anything that we can do to help you, please let me know.
I really appreciate this opportunity. We get a lot of requests. I get a lot of requests. So when this one came across our desk, I knew it was one that we wanted to do. So from all the members of Sisters of the Skies and from my flight crew to everybody out there listening, we really appreciate it. If you can support the organization, we really appreciate it. Even if it's just to send a young girl to our website, so maybe that seed can get planted for her as well.
So you have a wonderful evening. Please be safe. Do social distancing, wear your mask, sanitize. So without further ado, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Bye.
Bye-bye.